Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well out there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great, and appreciate you stopping by the channel. So, your Miami Heat getting ready for Game 2 of the first round series against the Cleveland Cavaliers, as Miami is down 0-1 in the series. Talked a little bit about Spo's records in Game 2 in the previous video if you guys want to check that one out. But obviously, this one's going to be an exciting one. I think Heat fans are going to be on the edge of their seats. Couple PSAs from my friends over at the Heat marketing department. One, no ad here, just letting a little pub for them. If you guys want to go to the official Miami Heat Road Rally tomorrow, that'll be going on at Ball and Chain in Little Havana. I see the location on their Twitter account. If you guys want to go watch that, that's always fun. You got the whole Heat hoop troop, Bernie, the crew. My son loves White Hot Bernie. He really does. And then PSA, remember, if you guys got tickets for Saturday, all right, get your ass there early because it's a 1 o'clock tip-off. A 1 o'clock tip-off for your Miami Heat on Saturday afternoon. FYI, get there early. Even if you're at space, you're stumbling out, just lethargic and drunk after your night out. Maybe that's a more prudent way to go about getting to the game. Responsibly, of course. Uber, whatever you got to do, or just walk. Walk it off a little bit to get to the Heat's house. But 1 o'clock tip off, just to let everybody know who maybe has tickets. Hey, you want to go to the Heat game, and you didn't know? Now you know. A couple of things of note. I saw this was tremendous. I mean, it made me laugh so much. So, a couple of things. One, the Heat are going to air Nikola Jovic's Inside the Heat episode, and it's going to be on their YouTube channel. And I am very excited about this because we saw a picture of this a little while ago, and it was Goran Dragic interviewing Nikola Jović. Jović, dude. The Dragon and the Serbian Terminator together. And I am just very excited to see what this is going to be. I mean, whatever the view count is on their YouTube channel, count me in for 10,000 myself just to check it out. But I'm trying to get a screener. If anybody from the Heat wants to send me a link early so I could see it early, I wouldn't say no to that. If you guys want to put Goran Dragic and Jović, dude, oh, unbelievable. But I was also laughing my ass off because I saw Ira Winderman tweet out, Jaime Jaquez hits a series of jumpers with Nikola Jović then chiming in during practice, quote, change the scouting report. He can shoot now. He's such a rascal. I love this guy. He's out there. He's going out there. Hey, change that scouting report. Only he could get away with that. Only with that adorable Serbian demeanor could you get away with such silliness. Just like when he puts the pigeon emoji on Kalel Ware's Instagram page. I love it. I love it so much from Jović. It's fantastic. The other piece of news that came out is that Terry Rozier, not that he was going to play, but is now questionable. He hurt his ankle in an optional practice yesterday, but he was in a walking boot today at practice, so I don't think that spells well for Terry Rozier playing at least tomorrow. I'm just guessing. I mean, if you're in a boot the next day and you're not in the rotation anyway, I assume that they're going to be very, very cautious with him. In any fruit, that's going on there. And then Andrew Wiggins was talking today at practice. He talked about that the Miami's got to be a lot more physical. And I honestly think, I don't mean this to like rip on Andrew Wiggins because I don't like it's such a weird thing because it's like you had this whole Butler thing, and I don't want to like revamp and revisit the whole thing, but like it's over. And you get this guy Andrew Wiggins, who everybody's raving about, and Draymond Green saying he could be an all-star with the Miami Heat, but he misses a lot of games. He's trying to fit in and get things together. And it was funny. I was listening to Kenny Atkinson today talking after practice, and he basically said the Heat aren't a 10th seed. In his mind, he says the Heat are a 4 seed, which it could be coach speak, fake compliment. But he's like, when you lose a major piece like the Heat did, and then you're trying to implement everybody without practices, and then you miss games, He goes, the fact that they've gotten here is impressive. Paraphrasing a little bit, but that's about the message that he was given to the media on the Miami Heat. And he's like, they're not a 10th seed. In my mind, they're a 4 seed. So I was like, oh, it was corner rush from Kenny Atkinson. And I know there's a lot of mutual respect. I think Kenny Atkinson is a damn good coach. Really, like, I'm not surprised that it's not that I don't think JB Bickerstaff's a good coach, because very clearly look what he's doing with the Pistons this year. But I think that Kenny Atkinson's I think he's like a special offensive coach. He's really, really, really impressive. I thought he was impressive with the Nets. I thought him getting fired was BS. And so I'm not surprised. It's cool that he's getting the opportunity that he is with Cleveland. Hate having respect for the opponent. Ugh, not my style. But Wiggins was talking about the physicality Miami has to bring. And yeah, I think from his standpoint, being the two-way player that he is, that aggression's needed from him. This is not a time where Andrew Wiggins has to be afraid to step on toes. You need to bring that tenacity, and there needs to be, some of the defense that he brought in the play-in series. There needs to be some of that in this Cleveland series from them, because, he does have plus abilities from that side, as does Bam, as does Haywood. And then you think about, on the rest of the guy, obviously Davion's a great defender, and then Pella is a pain in the ass to go up against. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more from him. And I thought, Alec Burks competed at times as well, even though he's not known as a stopper by any means. But yeah, that physicality, I think Andrew Wiggins, I think a lot of it goes on him, because that's one of the talents that he brings to the table for this series. They need him. And it can't just be, this two-man band, all the pressure on Tyler Hero, Bam doing what he can do. Like, they are going to need that punch from Andrew Wiggins if they're going to have a shot in this series. So I'm very much like, I know everybody's focused on Tyler, and I said this in the last video. I think Tyler's probably got the most scrutiny and pressure on him on the team, just because of what he is as the guy on the team, the current all-star on the team right now. But yeah, Wiggins, to me, if you're here, you got that kind of, that I'm going to be looking at him with that eye and scrutiny of what is he going to bring to the table this next game. And I need it to be like not a float in for a quarter and then it's gone. Like, I need that through line through the entire game. So that's going to be an interesting one. And the Andrew Wiggins thing is going to be interesting to see, like, what this means for his future with the team too. Like, what is that all going to ensue? The big thing that's going on in the NBA that's not the games, and as I record this right now, I'm recording this right before the Panthers get going in their playoff series, but and the Bucks and the Pacers are going on. You got Timberwolves, Lakers tonight, Grizzly and Thunder are on right now. But as I record this, yesterday the big story was Nico Harrison addressing the media about Luka Doncic, and this was his end of the season press conference. And he got some pretty high. I mean, it was a bad press conference, and I got no skin in the game. I don't really have any animosity towards Nico Harrison other than you couldn't have phoned up everybody and opened up trade talks for Luka Doncic. This had to be done with the secrecy that there was. And I do think the thing that's interesting about it is, not that you guys need another podcast giving somebody's 2 cents on the Luka thing. But, like, yeah, there's this whole thing about, like, the secrecy. And he said yesterday that, I didn't quite understand what the fans' reaction would have been to this. And I don't know who duped him into that. I mean, like, Pelinka was the one who's like, hey, if this has to be a secret because of maybe the Clutch relationship. But, man, the fact that the Lakers swindled him into that is just such a bad look in its own right. Even if you don't like Luka Doncic, it's just such a bad way to go because you want to be in the strongest position. The strongest position is having an open market for a guy of his talents. So I don't know what's going to happen to him. I know that, like, there's reports now that that ownership's getting a little rats off a ship on him as it is. But I did find it interesting because, people were talking about Nico, and the response basically was from Charles Barkley, hey, Nico, stop doing press conferences. Stop talking about this. And it was a little bit of odd timing because he had just done this media roundtable with reporters. There was this whole thing about not having recorders. And people find this, it's not that odd. Like, this happens all the time where the Miami Heat will do this, where like they will have Pat Riley speak to writers. They will, and you know, I'm one of these people that like people get upset about that sometimes. I don't. Even as somebody who's in electronic media, first of all, those guys do the majority of the work. Like that's the facts of it. Ira, Anthony, Barry Jackson, Tim Reynolds, like those guys are boots on the ground the most. They ask the most questions. And so I don't really find anything wrong every once in a while if the president wants to be like, hey, I'll talk to these guys, let them have it. That not having recording devices, like having to do that for tape recorders is a little bit odd because, like, was the Miami Herald going to throw it on a podcast? Like, I don't really understand why that would be an issue, but whatever. But so he does Nico does this round table, and then after that, like a week later, their season's over. So most GMs have a season-ending press conference. So he has this terrible media roundtable, and then he has the press conference yesterday, which you guys all saw went viral. But the reason I thought about it that was interesting because everybody said to him, "Don't do it," and I cannot disagree more with that. And I'm not saying this just as somebody who's a person who makes content, because I can make content with press conferences without press conferences. But I always want the GMs to speak. I think they should speak more, quite frankly. I think the fact that they hang out head coaches to dry all the time when the head coaches don't make all the personnel decisions. I wish Pat Riley would speak more, or Andy. You know, Andy never does press conferences. He does a couple summer league interviews. Like, I would like those guys to speak more and to give their thoughts on it. Adam Simon gives, 2 press conferences a year? I think these are fascinating people to hear from, and we don't really hear from them because the Heat have this whole one voice thing, and it's Spo. But Spo is so game-centric. Like, if you ask him anything that is on the outlet, like, he'll just turtle up. Like, he'll dismiss it. He's not going to give that any life. He's not going to give it any chum. And I say all this because people are sitting here and they're like, oh, Nico shouldn't talk anymore. Don't do any more press conferences. And it's not that you shouldn't have press conferences, but I do think it's an underrated part of the job to control your message and to be, to handle this hard stuff. And the one thing I would say with Nico that's a miss for him, and I give shit to Chris Greer about this too, what the questions are going to be. You don't speak that much. Like, I give a little leeway to a coach who has to speak every day, react to game stuff. Take Eric Spoelstra, for example, the whole Jimmy Butler thing that happened this year, just to bring it back up. Spo was really trying to throw cold water on the Jimmy thing, and then Jimmy had his press conference. But Spo was doing the best he could to keep it at bay. At sometimes I thought he went a little too head in the sand on it. I think it's better to just cut it off, but when it happens in that moment, I give you a little bit of a break. The general managers, Nico's been known. He's been getting raked through the coals for months now. And those are and I just like, well, that's the best you could come up with. Like, that's the criticism. It's not that you shouldn't speak. It's just like, that's the best that you had. And the same thing goes for the Dolphins. It's like, Chris Greer, you saw your season floundering all these times. It's like, that's the best that you had. And the one thing that I'll say about Pat Riley that I'm a little bit interested in, because Pat Riley hasn't spoken about the Jimmy Butler thing, and there's been a lot to say. And part of me wondered with this Nico thing, because people had said, like, oh, stop talking. And I had wondered, well, would the Heat have been better off if Pat spoke after this was all over, right? Like, Spo has spoken a little bit of, we've been through a lot. You're starting to get some real kernels of truth outside of like the fortress that he put up about how much angst there was there. And I understand the one voice thing that the Heat have, but I wonder from Pat's standpoint, would it have been better to address all the baggage? Because I'm thinking about whenever this season does end, if the Heat do get bounced in the first round, okay, Pat's probably going to speak in a few days to a week later on the whole thing. And a lot of the stuff, and I imagine national reporters are going to come as well, is going to be on Jimmy Butler, and that's going to be opened up as an old wound. Now, maybe the Heat get a break and the Warriors lose in the first round, and then it's kind of an easier place to be. But if the Warriors advance, or if you're in a spot where the Warriors look like they're going further and they look primo and Jimmy's having great games, you're kind of bringing this all back. Now, you get a chance. If you would have spoken earlier, you could have gotten freezing cold takes if he would have said, well, we thought he was old, he couldn't do it anymore. I don't know what Pat's going to say about all of it. it's going to be it is going to be a fascinating way to hold it. But Pat Riley, one way or another, one of the things that I respect about him, and this isn't that he doesn't deserve criticism, but I'll never come out of a Pat Riley press conference and be like, that guy needs to shut up. No, you come out of it with a clear sense of where things are supposed to be and honesty. And it almost feels cathartic. It's like, all right, well, that was the feeling of all of this. This is of where it's supposed to be. And I imagine that in this one, it's going to be a lot of probably numero uno, how much longer are you going to do this? 2 is going to be the Jimmy Butler stuff. 3, where do you think this team, the assessment of this team and what moves need to be made? And then I think the big thing is also going to be, now you have another extension with Tyler Hero. And I think that's going to be all be addressed. If I were to guess, give you my long view of what the Riley state of thing. If I'm missing anything, maybe you guys can hit me up in the comments and or on Instagram and Twitter and go in that regard. But I did wonder with this whole thing, because people talked about timing of Nico, if the Heat would have been better off when they introduced Kyle Anderson and Wiggins and Davion, if they would have been better off with Pat doing something truly to get on. Now, my timeline's a little fuzzy on it because I don't remember when all the dirt came out of like that Athletic piece where like they're saying he cried, and then all the Ramona Shelburne piece talking about Jimmy Hotel. I don't remember when all that stuff came in regards to those guys being introduced, because obviously, there's going to be more of that. Of people that are going to want to get stuff to. And then listen, Pat could also just be like, look, it's over. We're putting it behind us. And he could absolutely no sell it and be like, wish Jimmy the best. Sometimes things happen, and that's that. And he may be less forthcoming with it because he wants to high road it at this point. I don't know. But the Nico thing definitely had me thinking, like, did the Heat do right by just letting all this sit, or is the right move wait until whenever the season is over? Because listen, maybe I don't know, maybe Donovan Mitchell gets bubble guts, gets that Shaq tummy issue, and he can't go for a couple games, and all of a sudden here's the Heat, they're up in the series. So I don't know, but it had me wondering in the lead up to all this is what is going to be the messaging from Pat about that, and if it should have already been done. Because there is part of you that can say, yeah, you could get got on some stuff, but it's already also over. Like, if they would have addressed it already instead of just having it linger, then it's not one of the big stories. Like, maybe there's more because you'll have where Jimmy and the Warriors end up going, and you'll know what pick you got from it. But also then you can just focus on the team. And now, like we said, like, it's still there. Like, you still want Riley's side of the story on all of it. So I am curious to see what that's going to be like whenever that time does come for the Godfather.